Part 2, I am on page 45. I'm carrying on the book. The book is called The Master Key System, written by Charles F. Haanel, and it encourages one to follow this path, which is the root of the law of attraction. Number 21. As the following statement is of considerable importance, I will put it in several ways so that you cannot fail to get the full significance of it. If you are religiously inclined, I would say you can let your light shine. If your mind has a bias towards physical science, I would say you can wake the solar plexus, or if you prefer the strictly scientific interpretation, I would say that you can impress your subconscious mind. Number 22. I have already told you what the result of this impression will be. It is the method in which you are now interested. You have already learned that the subconscious is intelligent and that it is creative and responsive to the will of the conscious mind. What then is the most natural way of thinking the desired impression? Mentally concentrate on the object of your desire. When you are concentrating, you are impressing the subconscious. Number 23. This is not the only way, but it is a simple and effective way, and the most direct way, and consequently the way in which the best results are secured. It is this method which is producing such extraordinary results that many think that miracles are being accomplished. Number 24. It is the method by which every great inventor, every great financier, every great statesman has been enabled to convert the subtle and invisible forces of desire, faith, and confidence into actual, tangible, concrete facts in the objective world. Number 25. The subconscious mind is part of the universal mind. The universal is the creative principle of the universe. A part must be the same in kind and quality as the whole. This means that this creative power is absolutely unlimited. It is not bound by precedent of any kind, and consequently has no prior existing pattern by which to apply its constructive principle. Number 26. We have found that the subconscious mind is responsive to our conscious will, which means that the unlimited creative power of the universal mind is within the control of the conscious mind of the individual. Number 27. When making a practical application of this principle in accordance with the exercises given in subsequent parts, it is well to remember that it is not necessary to outline the method by which the subconscious will produce the results you desire. The finite cannot inform the infinite. You are simply to say what you desire, not how you are to obtain it. Number 28. You are the channel by which the undifferentiated is being differentiated. And this differentiation is being accomplished by appropriation. It only requires a recognition. It only requires recognition to set causes in motion, which will bring about results in accordance with your desire, and this is accomplished because the universal can act only through the individual, and the individual can act only through the universal. They are one. Number 29. For your next exercise, I will ask you to go one step further. I want you to not only be perfectly still and inhibit all thought as far as possible, but relax, let go, let the muscles take their normal condition. This will remove all pressure from the nerves and eliminate the tension which so frequently produces physical exhaustion. Number 30. Physical relaxation is a voluntary exercise of the will, and the exercise will be found to be of great value, as it enables the blood to circulate freely to and from the brain and body. Number 31. Tension leads to mental unrest and abnormal mental activity of the mind. It produces worry, care, fear, and anxiety. Relaxation is therefore an absolute necessity in order to allow the mental faculties to exercise the greatest freedom. Number 32, make this exercise as thorough and complete as possible. Mentally determine that you will relax every muscle and nerve until you feel quiet and restful and at peace within yourself and the world. Number 33. The solar plexus will then be ready to function, and you will be surprised at the result. We judge of a man's wisdom by his hope, knowing that the perception of the inexhaustibleness of nature is an immortal youth. Emerson. Part 3. What system of nerves? Number 21. What system of nerves is the organ of the conscious mind? Answer: the cerebrospinal. Number 22. What system of nerves is the organ of the subconscious mind? The sympathetic. Number 23. What is the essential part of distribution for the energy which the body is constantly generating? Answer: the solar plexus. Number 24. How may this distribution be interrupted? Answer: by resistant, critical, discordant thoughts, but especially by fear. Number 25. What is the result of such interruption? Answer: every ill with which the human race is afflicted. Number 26. How may this energy be controlled and directed? Answer: by conscious thought. Number 27. How may fear be completely eliminated? By an understanding and recognition of the true source of all power. Number 28. What determines the experiences with which we meet in life? Answer: our predominant mental attitude. Number 29. How may we awake the solar plexus? Answer: mentally concentrate upon the condition which we desire to see manifested in our lives. Number 30. What is the creative principle of the universe? Answer: the universal mind. Mind in itself is believed to be a subtle form of static energy, from which arise activities called thought, which is the dynamic phase of mind. Mind is static energy. Thought is dynamic energy. The two phases of the same thing. Walk on. Page 49, Part 4. This part tells what it is which controls that which you call yourself. You are not your body. The body is simply the physical instrument which the ego uses to carry out its purpose. You are not your mind. This is simply another instrument which the ego uses to think, reason, and plan. And when you say, I go, you tell the body where to go. When you say, I think, you tell the mind what to think. When you come into realization of the true nature of the I, you will enjoy a sense of power which nothing else can give, because you come to know who you are, what you want, and how to get it. This part will show you why what you think or do or feel is an indication of what you are. Thought is energy, and energy is power. And it is because all the religious sciences and philosophies with which the world has heretofore been familiar have been based upon the manifestation of this energy instead of the energy itself, and the world has been limited to effects, while causes have been ignored or misunderstood. For this reason we have God and the devil in religion, positive and negative in science, and good and bad in philosophy. The master key reverses the process. It is interested only in cause, and the letters received from the readers tell a marvelous story. They indicate conclusively that adepts are finding the cause whereby they may secure for themselves health, harmony, abundance, and whatever else may be necessary for their welfare and happiness. Life is expressive, and it is our business to express ourselves harmoniously and constructively. Sorrow, misery, unhappiness, disease, and poverty are not necessary, and we are constantly eliminating them. But this process of eliminating consists in rising above and beyond limitation of any kind. He who has strengthened and purified his thoughts need not concern himself about microbes, and he who has come into an understanding of the law of abundance will go at once to the source of supply. It is thus that fate, fortune, and destiny will be controlled as readily as a captain controls his ship, or an engine driver his train. The eye of you is not the physical body. That is simply an instrument which the eye uses to carry out its purposes. The eye cannot be the mind, for the mind is simply another instrument which the eye uses with which to think, reason, and plan. Number 2. The eye must be something which controls and directs both the body and the mind, something which determines what they shall do and how they shall act. When you come into realization of true nature of this eye, you will enjoy a sense of power which you have never before known. Number 3. Your personality is made up of countless individual characteristics, peculiarities, habits, and traits of character. These are the result of your former method of thinking, but they have nothing to do with the real I. Number 4. When you say, I think, the I tells the mind what it shall think. When you say, I go, the I tells the physical body where it shall go. The real nature of this I is spiritual and is the source of the real power which comes to men and women when they come into realization of the true nature. Number 5. The greatest and most marvelous power with which this I has been given is the power to think, but few people know how to think constructively or correctly. Consequently, they achieve only indifferent results. Most people allow their thoughts to dwell on selfish purposes, the inevitable result of an infantile mind. When a mind becomes mature, it understands that the germ of defeat is in every selfish thought. Number 6. The trained mind knows that every transaction must benefit every person who is in any way connected with the transaction. And any attempt to profit by the weakness, ignorance, or necessity of another will inevitably operate to one's disadvantage. Number 7. This is because the individual is a part of the universal. A part cannot antagonize any other part, but on the contrary, the welfare of each part depends upon recognition of the interests of the whole. Number 8. Those who recognize this principle have a great advantage in the affairs of life. They do not wear themselves out. They can eliminate vagrant thoughts with faculty. They can readily concentrate to the highest possible degree on any subject. They do not waste time or money upon objects which can be of no possible benefit to them. If you cannot do these things, it is because you have thus far not made the necessary effort. Now is the time to make the effort. The result will be exactly in proportion to the effort expended. One of the strongest affirmations which you can use for the purpose of strengthening the will and realizing your power to accomplish is, quote, I can be what I will to be, end quote. Quote, I can be what I will to be, end quote. Number 10. Every time you repeat it, realize who and what this I is. Try to come into a thorough understanding of the true nature of the I. If you do, you will become invincible. That is, provided that your objects and purposes are constructive and are therefore in harmony with the creative principle of the universe. 11. If you make use of this affirmation, use it continuously, night and morning, and as often during the day as you think of it, and continue to do it until it becomes a part of you from the habit. Number 12. Unless you do this, and you had better not start at all. Number 12. Unless you do this, you had better not start at all. Because modern psychology tells us that when we start something and do not complete it, or make a resolution and do not keep it, we are forming the habit of failure. Absolute ignominious failure. If you do not intend to do a thing, do not start. If you do start, see it through, even if the heavens fall. If you make up your mind to do something, do it. Let nothing, no one interfere. The I in you has determined The thing is settled. The die is cast. There is no longer any argument. Number 13. If you carry out this idea beginning with small things which you know you can control and gradually increase the effort, but never under any circumstances allowing your I to be overruled, you will find that you can eventually control yourself, and many men and women have found, to their sorrow, that it is easier to control a kingdom than to control themselves. Number 14. When you have learned to control yourself, you will have found the whole world within, which controls the world without. You will have become irresistible. Men and things will respond to your every wish without any apparent effort on your part. Number 15. This is not so strange or impossible. It may appear when you remember that the world within is controlled by the I, and that this I is part of the one which the infinite I, which is the universal energy of spirit, usually called God. Number 16. This is not a mere statement or theory made for the purpose of confirming or establishing an idea, but it is a fact which has been accepted by the best religious thought as well as the best scientific thought. Number 17. Herbert Spencer says, Amid all the mysteries by which we are surrounded, nothing is more certain than that we are ever in the presence of an infinite and eternal energy from which all things proceed. Number 18. Lyman Abbott, in an address delivered before the alumni of Bangor Theological Seminary, said, "We are coming to think of God as dwelling in man rather than and operating on men from without." Number 19. Science goes a little way in its search and stops. Science finds the ever-present eternal energy, but religion finds the power behind this energy and locates it within man. But this is by no means a new discovery. The Bible says exactly the same thing, and the language is just as plain and convincing. Know ye not that ye are the temple of the living God? Here then is a secret of the wonderful creative power of the world within. Number 20. Here is the secret of power of mastery. To overcome does not mean to go without things. Self-denial is not success. We cannot give unless we get. We cannot be helpful unless we are strong. The infinite is not a bankrupt, and we who are the representatives of infinite power should not be bankrupts either. And if we wish to be of service to others, we must have the power and more power. But to get it, we must give it. We must be of service. 21. The more we give, the more we shall get. We must become a channel whereby the universal can express activity. The universal is constantly seeking to express itself, to be of service, and it seeks to the channel whereby it can find the greatest activity, where it can do the most good, where it can be of greatest service to mankind. Number 22. The universal cannot express through you as long as you are busy with your plans, your own purposes. Quiet the senses, seek inspiration, focus the mental activity on the within, dwell in the consciousness of your unity with omnipotence. Still waters run deep. Contemplate the multitudinous opportunities to which you have spiritual access by the omnipresence of power. 23. Visualize the events, circumstances, and conditions which these spiritual connections may assist in manifesting. Realize the fact that the essence and soul of all things in spirit is spiritual, and that the spiritual is the real because it is the life of all there is. When the spirit is gone, the life is gone. It is dead. It has ceased to exist. Number 24. The mental activities pertain to the world within, to the world of cause and conditions and circumstances which result are the effect. It is thus that you become a creator. This is important work, and the higher, loftier, grander, and more noble the ideals which you can conceive, the more important the work will become. Number 25. Overwork or overplay or badly overactivity of any kind produces conditions of mental apathy and stagnation, which make it impossible to do the more important work, which results in a realization of conscious power. We should therefore seek the silence frequently. Power comes through repose. It is in the silence that we can be still, and when we are still, we can think, and thought is the secret of all attainment. Number 26. Thought is the mode of motion, and is carried by the law of vibration, the same as light of electricity. It is given vitality by the emotions through the law of love. It takes form and expression by the law of growth. It is a product of the spiritual eye, hence is divine. Its divine, spiritual, and creative nature. Number 27. From this, it is evident that in order to express power, abundance, or any other constructive purpose, the emotions must be called upon to give feeling to the thought, so that it will take form. How may this purpose be accomplished? This is the vital point. How may we develop the faith, the courage, the feeling which will result in accomplishment? Page 54. The reply is, by exercise. Mental strength is secured in exactly the same way that physical strength is secured. By exercise. We think something, perhaps with difficulty the first time, we think the same thing again. And it becomes easier this time. We think it again and again, and then it then becomes a mental habit. We continue to think the same thing. Finally becomes automatic. We can no longer help thinking this thing. We are now positive of what we think. There is no longer any doubt about it. We are sure we know. Number 29. In part 3, I asked you to relax, to let go physically. Now I'm going to ask you to let go mentally. If you practiced the previous exercises 15 to 20 minutes a day in accordance with instructions, you can no doubt relax physically. And anyone who cannot consciously do this quickly and completely is not a master of himself. He has not obtained freedom. He is still a slave to conditions. But I shall assume that you have mastered the exercise and are ready to take the next step, which is mental freedom. Number 30. Now, after taking your usual position, remove all tension by completely relaxing. Then mentally let go of all adverse conditions, such as hatred, anger, worry, jealousy, envy, sorrow, trouble, or disappointment of any kind. Number 31. You may say that you cannot let go of these things, but you can. You can do so by mentally determining to do so by voluntary intention and persistence. Number 32. The reason why some cannot do this is that they allow themselves to be controlled by their emotions instead of by their intellect. But the will guided by the intellect will gain the victory. You will not succeed the first time you try, but practice makes perfect. In this, as in everything else, and you must succeed in dismissing, eliminating, and completely destroying these negative and destructive thoughts, because they are the seed which is constantly germinating into discordant conditions of every conceivable kind and description. There is nothing truer than the quality of thought, which we entertain, correlates certain externals in the outside world. This is the law from which there is no escape. And it is this law, this correlative of the thought with its object that from time immemorial has led the people to believe in special providence. Willmans powerful. Number 31. What is thought? Answer. Thought is spiritual energy. Number 32. How is it carried? By the law of vibration. Number 33. How is it given vitality? By the law of love. Number 34. How does it take form? Answer. By the law of growth. Number 35. What is the secret of its creative power? Answer. It is a spiritual activity. Number 36. How may we develop the faith, courage, and enthusiasm which will result in accomplishment? Answer. By a recognition of our spiritual nature. Number 37. What is the secret of power? Answer. Service. Number 38. Why is it so? Answer. Because we get what we give. 39. What is a silence? A physical stillness. Number 40. Of what value is it? It is the first step to self-control, self-mastery. We're now on page 56, part 5. This part tells how the subconscious processes are continually at work, and it tells how we may consciously direct its work instead of being mere passive recipients of its activity. It tells how we may have a vision of the destination to be reached, the dangers and pitfalls to be avoided. It tells how the world has become flesh, how we are constantly creating and recreating ourselves. It tells of a mental home with each of us is building for himself, the importance of this home. Where the material is secured, the character of the furnishing, how and why many of us need a mental house cleaning in case we wish to realize our ideas. It tells of the condition by which we may come into it an inheritance of health, harmony, and prosperity, and the condition one which demands no sacrifice except the loss of our limitations, our servitudes, and our weaknesses, and course only the labor of harvesting its greater resources. After studying this part carefully, you will see that every conceivable force or object or fact is a result of mind in action. Mind in action is thought, and thought is creative. Men are thinking now as they have never thought before. Therefore, this is a creative age, and the world is awarding its richest parts to the thinkers. Matter is powerless, passive, inert. Mind is force, energy, power, mind. Mind shapes and controls matter, every form which matter takes it, but the expression of some pre-existing thought. But thought works no magic transformation. It obeys natural laws. It sets in motion natural forces. It releases natural energies. It manifests in your conduct and actions. And these in turn react upon your friends and acquaintances, and eventually upon the whole of your environment. You can originate thought, and since thoughts are creative, you can create for yourselves the things you desire. Number 1. At least 90% of our mental life is subconscious, so that those who fail to make use of this mental power live within very narrow limits. Number 2, the subconscious can and will solve any problem for us if we know how to direct it. The subconscious processes are always at work. The only question is, are we to be simply passive recipients of this activity, or are we to direct the work consciously? Shall we have a vision of the destination to be reached, the dangers to be avoided, or shall we simply drift? We have found that mind pervades every part of the physical body and is always capable of being directed or impressed by authority coming from the objective or the more dominant portion of the mind. Number 4, the mind which pervades the body is largely the result of heredity, which in turn is simply the result of all the environments, of all past generations, on the responsive and ever-moving life forces. An understanding of this fact will enable us to use our authority when we find some undesirable trait of character manifesting. We can consciously use all desirable characteristics with which we have been provided, and we can repress and refuse to allow the undesirable ones to manifest. Again, this is number 6. Again, this mind which pervades our physical body is not only the result of hereditary tendencies, but is the result of home, business, and social environment, where countless thousands of impressions, ideas, prejudices, and similar thoughts have been received. Much of this has been received from others as a result of opinions, suggestions, or statements. Much of it is a result of our own thinking, but nearly all of it has been accepted with little or no examination or consideration. The idea seemed plausible. The conscious received it, passed it on to the subconscious, where it was taken up by the sympathetic system and passed on to be built into our physical body. The word has become flesh. This then is the way we are constantly creating and recreating ourselves. We are today the result of our past thinking, and we shall be what we are thinking today. The law of attraction is bringing to us not the big things we should like, or the things we wish for, or the things someone else has, but it brings us our own, the things which we have created by our thought processes, whether consciously or unconsciously. Unfortunately, many of us are creating these things unconsciously. Number 9. If either of us were building a home for himself, how careful we would be in regard to the plans. How we would study every detail, how we would wash the material and select only the best of everything, and yet how careless we are when it comes to building our mental home, which is infinitely more important than any physical home, as everything which can possibly enter into our lives depends upon the character of the material which enters into the construction of our mental home. Number 10. What is the character of this material? We have seen that it is the result of the impressions which we have accumulated in the past and stored away in our subconscious mentality. If these impressions have been of fear, of worry, of care, of anxiety, if they have been despondent, negative, doubtful, then the texture of the material which we are weaving today will be of the same negative material. Instead of being of any value, it will be mildewed and rotten. It will bring us only more toil and care and anxiety. We shall be forever busy trying to patch it up and make it appear at least genteel. 11. But if we have stored away nothing but courageous thought, if we have been optimistic, positive, and have immediately thrown any kind of negative thought on the scrap heap, have refused to have anything to do with it, have refused to associate with it or become identified with it in any way, what then is result? Our mental material is now of the best kind. We can weave any kind of material we want. We can use any color we wish. We know that the texture is firm, that the material is solid, that it will not fade, and we have no fear, no anxiety concerning the future. There's nothing to cover. There are no patches to hide. Number 12. These are psychological facts. There is no theory or guesswork about these things. There's no theory or guesswork about these thinking processes. There's nothing secret about them. In fact, they are so plain that everyone can understand them. The thing to do is to have a mental house cleaning, and to have this house cleaning every day and keep the house clean. Mental, moral, and physical cleaning. Mental, moral, and physical cleanliness is absolutely indispensable if we are to make progress of any kind. Number 13. When this mental house cleaning process has been completed, the material which is left will be suitable for the making of the kind of ideals or mental images which we desire to realize. Number 14. There is a fine estate awaiting a claimant. Its broad acres with abundant crops, running water, and fine timber stretch away as far as the eye can see. There is a mansion spacious and cheerful with rare pictures, a well-stocked library, rich hangings, and every comfort and luxury. All the heir has to do is to assert his heirship, take possession and use the property. He must use it, he must not let it decay, for use is the condition on which he holds it. To neglect it is to lose possession. 15. In the domain of mind and spirit, in the domain of practical power, such as an estate is yours, you are the heir. You can assert your heirship and possess and use its rich inheritance. Power over circumstances is one of its fruits. Health, harmony, and prosperity are assets upon its balance sheet. It offers you poise and peace. It costs you only the labor of studying and harvesting its great resources. It demands no sacrifice except the loss of your limitations, your servitudes. Your weakness, it clothes you with self-honor and puts a scepter in your hands. Number 16. To gain this estate, 3 processes are necessary. You must earnestly desire it, you must assert your claim, you must take possession. Number 17. You admit that those are not burdensome conditions. Number 18. You are familiar with the subject of heredity. Darwin, Huxley, Haeckel, and other physical scientists have piled evidence mountain high that heredity is a law attending progressive creation. It is progressive heredity which gives man his erect attitude, his power of motion, the organs of digestion, blood circulation, nerve forces, muscular force, bone structure, and a host of other faculties on the physical side. There are even more impressive facts concerning inheritance of mind force. All these constitute what may be called human heredity. Number 19. But there is an heredity with the physical scientists which the physical scientists have not compassed. It lies beneath and antecedent to all the researchers, at a point where they throw up their hands in despair, saying they cannot count for what they see. This divine heredity is found in full sway. 20. It is the benignant force which decrees primal creation. It thrills down from the divine, direct into every created being. It originates life with the physical science, which the physical scientist has not done, nor ever can do. It stands out among all forces, supreme, unapproachable. No human heredity measures up to it. Number 21. The infinite life flows through you, is you. Its doorways are but the faculties which comprise your consciousness. To keep open these doors in the secret of power, it is not worthwhile to make the effort. Is it not worthwhile to make the effort? Number 22. The great fact is that the source of all life and all power is from within. Persons, circumstances, and events may suggest need and opportunities, but the insight, strength, and power to answer these needs will be found within. Number 23. Counterfeits. Build firm foundations for your consciousness upon forces which flow direct from the infinite source, the universal mind, of which you are the image and likeness. Number 24. Those who have come into possession of this inheritance are never quite the same again. They have come into possession of a sense of power hitherto undreamed of. They can never again be timid, weak, vacillating, or fearful. They are indissolubly connected with omnipotence. Something in them has been aroused. They have suddenly discovered that they possess a tremendous latent ability of which they were heretofore entirely unconscious. Number 25. This power is from within, but we cannot receive it unless we give it. Use the condition upon which we hold this inheritance. We are each of us by the channel through which the omnipotent power is being differentiated into form. Unless we give out, the channel is obstructed and we can receive no more. This is true on every plane of existence and in every field of endeavor and all walks of life. The more we give, the more we get. The athlete who wishes to get strong must make use of the strength he has, and the more he gives, the more he will get. The financier who wishes to make money must use of the money he has, for only by using it can he get more. The merchant who does not keep his goods going out will soon have nothing coming in. The business which fails to give efficient service will soon lack customers. The barrister who fails to get results will soon lack clients. And so it goes everywhere. Power is contingent upon a proper use of the power already in our possession. What is true in every field of endeavor, every experience in life is true of the power from which every other power known among men is begotten, spiritual power. Take away the spirit, and what is left? Nothing. 27. If then the spirit is all there is, upon the recognition of this fact must depend the ability to demonstrate all power, whether physical, mental, or spiritual. Number 28. All possession is the result of the cumulative attitude of mind. All the money, consciousness. This is a magic wand which will enable you to receive the idea, which will formulate plans for you to execute, and you will find as much pleasure in the execution as in the satisfaction of attainment and achievement. Number 29. Now go to your room, take the same seat, the same position as heretofore, and mentally select a place which has pleasant associations. Make a complete mental picture of it. See the buildings, the grounds, the trees, friends, associations, everything complete. At first you will find yourself thinking in everything under the sun. At first you will find yourself thinking of everything under the sun, except the idea upon which you desire to concentrate. But do not let that discourage you. Persistence will win, but persistence requires that you practice these exercises every day without fail. Relation and connection are not somewhere and sometime, but everywhere and always. Emerson. Part 5. What proportion of our mental life is subconscious? Answer, at least 90%. If this vast mental storehouse generally, number 42, is this vast mental storehouse generally utilized? Answer, no. Page 62, why not? That was number 43. Few understand or appreciate the fact that it is an activity which they make consciously direct. Number 44. Where has the conscious mind received its governing tendencies? From heredity, which means that it is the result of all the environments of all past generations. Number 45. What is the law of attraction bringing to us? Answer, our own. Number 46. What is our own? What we inherently are, and is the result of our past thinking, both conscious and subconscious. Number 47. Of what is the material with which we construct our mental home composed? Answer, the thoughts which we entertain. Number 48. What is the secret of power? A recognition of the omnipresence of omnipotence. Number 49. Where does it originate? Answer, all life and all power are from within. Number 50. Upon what is the possession of power contingent? Answer, upon a proper use of the power already in our possession. The key to every man is his thought, sturdy and defying. Though he look, he has a helm which he obeys, which is the idea after which all his facts are classified. He can only be reformed by showing him a new idea which commands his own. Emerson. Part 6. Tell of the unlimited possibilities of the universal mind, which is the life principle of every atom in existence, and explains. Sorry, I started this off wrong. Part 6 tells of the unlimited possibilities of the universal mind, which is the life principle of every atom in existence, and explains how this mind is differentiated in form. It tells of the most marvelous piece of mechanism which has ever been constructed, and tells how the effect which will be produced depends entirely upon the mechanism to which it is attached. It tells why should all become familiar with the mechanism so as to secure the effect which we desire. The power to which it can be attached is unlimited, and we can accordingly secure any effect we desire when we become familiar with the mechanism and understand how to make the proper connections. And understanding of this power will enable you to plan courageously and execute fearlessly, because you will have come into a knowledge of the source of all power, and this will determine your course in life, bringing you into contact with all that is strongest and best and most desirable. This part will give you an excellent understanding of the most wonderful piece of mechanism which has ever been created, a mechanism whereby you may create for yourself health, strength, success, prosperity, or any other condition which you desire. Necessities are demands, and demands create action, and action brings about results. The process of evolution is constantly building our tomorrows out of our todays. Individual development, like universal development, must be gradual, with an ever-increasing capacity and value. The knowledge that if we infringe the rights of others, we become moral thorns and find ourselves entangled at every turn of the road should be an indication that success is contingent upon the highest moral ideal, which is the great good, which is the greatest good to the greatest number. Aspiration, desire, and harmonious relations constantly and persistently maintained will accomplish results. The greatest hindrance is erroneous and fixed ideas. To be in tune with eternal truth, we must possess poise and harmony within. In order to receive intelligence, the receiver must be in tune with the transmitter. Thought is a product of mind, and mind is creative, but this does not mean that the universal will change its modus operandi to suit us on our ideas. But it does mean that we can come into harmonious relationship with the universal. And when we have accomplished this, we may ask anything to which we are entitled, and the way will be made plain. The universal mind is so wonderful that it is difficult to understand its utilitarian powers and possibilities and its unlimited creative effects. Number 2, we have found that this mind is not only all intelligent but all substance. How then is it to be differentiated in form? How are we to secure the effect which we desire? Number 3, ask any electrician what the effect of electricity will be, and he will reply that electricity is a form of motion, and its effect will depend upon the mechanism to which it is attached. Upon this mechanism will depend whether we shall have heat, light, power, music, or any of the other marvelous demonstrations of power to which this vital energy has been harnessed. Number 4, what effect can be produced by thought? The reply is that thought is mind in motion, just as wind is air in motion, and its effect will depend entirely on the mechanism to which it is attached. Number 5, here is the secret of all mental power. It depends entirely on the mechanism which we attach. Number 6, what is this mechanism? You know something of the mechanism which was invented by Edison, Bell, Marconi, and other electrical wizards, by which place and space and time have become only figures of speech, but did you ever stop to think that the mechanism which has been given to you for transforming the universal, omnipresent potential power was invented by a greater inventor than Edison? 7, we are accustomed to examining the mechanism of the implements which we use for tilling the soil, and we try to get an understanding of the mechanism of the motor car, which we drive, but most of us are content to remain in absolute ignorance of the greatest piece of mechanism which has ever come into existence, the brain of man. Number 8, let us examine the wonders of this mechanism. Perhaps we shall thereby get a better understanding of the various effects of which it is the cause. Number 9, in the first place, there is a great mental world in which we live and move and have our being. This world is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. It will respond to our desire in direct ratio to our purpose and faith. The purpose must be in accordance with the law of our being. That is, it must be creative or constructive. Our faith must be strong enough to generate a current sufficient strength to bring our purpose into manifestation. As thy faith is, so be it unto thee, be as a stamp of scientific tests. Number 10, the effects which are produced in the world without are the result of the action and reaction of the individual upon the universal. That is a process which we call thinking. The brain is the organ through which this process is accomplished. Think of the wonder of it all. Do you love music, flowers, literature, art, Or are you inspired by the thought of ancient or modern genius? Remember, every beauty to which you respond must have its corresponding outline in your brain before you can appreciate it. Number 11. There is not a single virtue or principle in the storehouse of nature which the brain cannot express. The brain is an embryonic world, ready to develop at any time as necessity may arise. If you can comprehend that this is a scientific truth and one of the wonderful laws of nature, it will be easy for you to get an understanding of the mechanism by which these extraordinary results are being accomplished. The nervous system has been compared to an electric circuit which has, with its batteries of cells, in which force is originated, and its white matter to insulated wires by which the current is conveyed. It is through these channels that every impulse or desire is carried through the mechanism. Number 13. The spinal cord is the great motor and sensory pathway by which messages are conveyed to and from the brain. Then there is the blood supply, plunging through the veins and arteries, renewing our energy and strength, the perfectly arranged structure upon which the entire physical body rests, and finally the delicate and beautiful skin, clothing the entire mechanism of a mantle of beauty. Number 14. This then is the temple of the living God, and the individual, I, is given control, and upon this understanding of this mechanism, which is within his control, will the result depend. 15. Every thought sets the brain cells in action. At first, the substance upon which the thought is directed fails to respond, but if the thought is sufficiently refined and concentrated, the substance finally yields and expresses itself perfectly. 16. The influence of the mind can be exerted upon any part of the body, causing the elimination of any undesirable effect. 17. A perfect conception of understanding of the laws governing the mental world cannot fail to be of inestimable value in the transaction of business, as it develops the power of discernment and gives a clearer understanding and appreciation of facts. Number 18. The man who looks within instead of without cannot fail to make use of the mighty forces which will eventually determine his course in life, and to bring him into vibration with all that is best, strongest, and most desirable. Number 19. Attention or concentration is probably the most important essential in the development of mind culture. The possibilities of attention, when properly directed, are so startling that they would hardly appear credible to the uninitiated. The cultivation of attention is a distinguishing characteristic of every successful man or woman, and is the very highest personal accomplishment which can be acquired. Number 20. The power of attention can be more readily understood by comparing it with a sunglass, in which the rays of sunlight are focused. They possess no particular strength as long as the glass is moved about, and the rays are directed from one place to another. But let the glass be held perfectly still, and let the rays be focused on one spot for any length of time, and the effect will become immediately apparent. Number 21. With the power of thought, let power be dissipated. By scattering the thought from one object to another, and no result is apparent, but focus this power through attention or concentration on any single purpose for any length of time, and nothing becomes impossible. Number 22. A very simple remedy for a very complex situation. Some will say, all right, try it. You have had no experience in concentrating the thought on a definite purpose or object. Choose any single object and concentrate your attention on it for a definite purpose for even 10 minutes. You cannot do it. The mind will wander a dozen times, and it will be necessary to bring it back to the original purpose. And each time the effect will have been lost, and at the end of the 10 minutes, nothing will have been gained, because you have not been able to hold your thought steadily to the purpose. Number 23. is, however, through attention that you will finally be able to overcome obstacles of any kind that appear in your path onward and upward. And the only way to acquire this wonderful power is by practice. Practice makes perfect. In this, as in anything else. Number 24. In order to cultivate the power of attention, bring a photograph with you to the same seat in the same room in the same position as heretofore. Examine it closely at least 10 minutes. Note the expression of the eyes, the form of the features, the clothing, the way the hair is arranged. In fact, note every detail shown on the photograph carefully. Now cover it and close your eyes and try to see it mentally. If you can see every detail perfectly and can form a good mental image of the photograph, you are to be congratulated. If not, repeat the process until you can. This step is simply for the purpose of preparing the soil. In part 7, we shall be ready to sow the seed. It is by such exercises as these that you'll finally be able to control your mental moods, your attitude, your consciousness. 27. Great organizers are learning to withdraw from the multitude more and more, that they may have more time for planning, thinking, and generating the right mental moods. Successful businessmen are constantly demonstrating the fact that it pays to keep in touch with the thought of other successful businessmen. Number 29. A single idea may be worth thousands of pounds, and these ideas can come only to those who are receptive, who are prepared to receive them, who are in a successful frame of mind. Number 30. Men are learning to place themselves in harmony with the universal mind. They are learning the unity of all things. They are learning the basic methods and principles of thinking, and this is changing conditions and multiplying results. Number 31. They are finding that circumstances and environment follow the trend of mental and spiritual progress. They find that growth follows knowledge, action follows inspiration, opportunity follows perception. Always spiritual first, then the transformation into the infinite and illimitable possibilities of achievement. Number 32. As the individual is but the channel for the differentiation of the universal, these possibilities are necessarily inexhaustible. Number 33. Thought is the process by which we may absorb the spirit of power and hold the result in our inner consciousness until it becomes a part of our ordinary consciousness. The method of accomplishing this result by the persistent practice of a few fundamental principles, as explained in this book, is the master key which unlocks the storehouse of universal truth. Number 34. The great sources of human suffering at present are bodily disease and mental anxiety. These may be readily traced to the infringement of some natural law. This is no doubt owing to the fact that so far knowledge has largely remained partial, but the clouds of darkness which have accumulated through long ages are beginning to roll away, and with them many of the miseries that attend imperfect information. That a man can change himself, improve himself, recreate himself, controls his environment, and master, I will repeat because I've read that incorrectly, that a man can change himself, improve himself, recreate himself, control his environment, and master his own destiny is the conclusion of every mind that is wide awake to the power of right thought and constructive action. Larson. Let me repeat that. That a man can change himself, improve himself, recreate himself, control his environment, and master his own destiny is the conclusion of every mind that is wide awake to the power of right thought and constructive action. Awesome. Part 6. Number 51. What are some of the effects which can be provided by electricity? Answer: heat, light, power, music. Number 52. Upon what do these various effects depend? Answer: upon the mechanism to which the electricity is attached. Number 53. What is the result of action? Number 53. What is the result of action and interaction of the individual mind upon the universal? Answer: the conditions and experiences with which we meet. Number 54. How may these conditions be changed? By changing the mechanism by which the universal is differentiated in form. Number 55. What is the mechanism? Answer: the brain. Number 56. How may it be changed? By the process we call thinking. Thoughts produce brain cells, and these cells respond to the corresponding thought in the universal. Number 57. Of what value is the power of concentration? It is the very highest personal accomplishment which can be acquired and the distinguishing characteristic of every successful man or woman. 58. How may it be acquired? By faithfully practicing the exercises outlined in the system. Number 59. Why is this so important? Because they will enable us to control our thoughts, and since thoughts are conditions must be effects. If we can control the cause, we can also control the effect. 60. What is changing conditions and multiplying results in the objective world? Answer: men are learning the basic methods of constructive thinking. This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. Shakespeare. But let me just repeat number 59 again. Why is concentration, which is in reference to number 59, why is it so important? Because it will enable us to control our thoughts. And since thoughts are causes, conditions must be effects. If we can control the cause, we can also control the effects. And number 16, what is changing conditions and multiplying results in the objective world? Men are learning the basic methods of constructive thinking. This is above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. Shakespeare. I shall continue on page 70 on my next recording. I want to thank you for joining me, for reading with me, and hope you had a pleasant day thus far. Keep on shining your light. You're a beacon of light. And thank you so much for all of you who have subscribed, who have left your feedback, your thoughts, your comments. It is much appreciated. Have a lovely day. And remember, you are godly beings, you're sentient beings, you're all a beacon of light. I love you all. Have a lovely day.